Hello everyone, I'm Carthu, and welcome back to the dojo. It is Tuesday, which means we're doing another tier list. A bigger tier list than I thought it'd be, as this tier list seems to involve all villains, including non-canon ones. Hopefully we'll be able to go through it relatively quickly. I'm going to try not to linger on any for too long as I rank them. I have a feeling B and C will be very heavy in this one, as many of these are side villains, or not necessarily villains at all, and just antagonists and things like that, who may not be as forward-facing as the usual villain. So without further ado, I think we should get right into it. Super Android 13, not really a fan ever. Cowboy Boy, I'm gonna go with D. Not very nuanced. Very similar to the old formulaic Z movies, and original Dragon Ball movies. I'm sorry, just Z actually, where they would take an arc that already exists in the show and convert it into a new movie type feature. Android 17. Now, I'm ranking them as of when they were antagonists. So if they are still antagonists to this day, then that's how they're ranked. But once they stop being antagonists, I stop counting their character. I just think that's the fair way to do this, because obviously some characters become good guys, like Android 17, 18, Vegeta, etc., and they get a second chance at that redemption, and second chance to get more, character development than some of these other guys. So I don't think that's quite so fair. So, since he's been a good guy, I really liked him, but honestly, as a villain, he was pretty mediocre. I'd say better than Android 13, and the same goes for 18. They were pretty mediocre, and they were obviously replaced pretty quickly. Android 19 here, I'm going to put down here in D. I think better than 13 still. At least it led to something, but nothing great. I'm going to put... Now, some people may disagree with this, but I don't know too much about Android 21, so just to be safe, I'm going to put her in a solid C at the end of C. Just to be safe, I know the idea of what her character arc is about, but I don't know too much about it. I played the game a little bit, but I didn't play through the whole thing. I watched the rest of it, and I don't really have too great memories of what she was all about, so I'm thinking C was about right. Bibbidi Bobbidi. Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo. Yeah, this is Bobbidi. Bobbidi is, B or C? That's the question. For now, I'm gonna go B until I have other characters to relate him to, just because of the way he sort of manipulated gods to do what he wanted to, and was able to just control people in general, like the King Demon. Made him a more interesting character with an interesting moveset rather than being the big beefy guy. He was just a guy that could manipulate things with magic. People as strong as Super Perfect Cell even. Okay, so now we're getting to the high-ranking villains. Baby is definitely an S-rank villain. Again, not the arc. Baby himself is an S-rank villain. Motivations are there. He actually succeeds in his goal to some degree. Actually, to a very good degree. And I think overall, he's just a well-executed, well-planned villain. Other than design, I'd say everything about him is fantastic in terms of villainy. So yeah, very, very good to see him up there. Bojack. Bojack's a solid C. I'd say above the androids here, just because he's a little bit more interesting. He's not quite a Cell ripoff, like some of the other movie villains are a ripoff of their respective arc, but that's what he's trying to emulate, is the Cell persona. So, I do think he's worse than Cell. I do think, he's better than the androids, let's say. Broly. I think that's a solid A. Broly's a pretty nuanced character. He's not, like, super duper nuanced at this point in his story, but he has the potential to get there. And as an antagonist, the idea of him not really wanting to fight, but doing so anyway for his father's sake and for his father's revenge and things, because it's all he knows and he's pretty simple, is pretty nice. I kind of like the way his arc plays out in the movie, and I'm pretty sure that's the last time we'll see him as an antagonist. So I think that was a pretty good run for him as an antagonist. So I don't know why Broly is here twice. Either way, both times, I'm going to put him in D. I just think his motivations are pretty damn boring. Motivations are a key thing for me for villains. So if you see me put someone that's cool, right, Broly is cool looking at the bottom, it's because they don't lack motivations, right? They lack substance to their appearance. And I'd rather have someone that looks, kind of ugly, like Baby, at the top, and be my villain. And actually, you kind of can't see Baby. So let me fix that for you guys. Like that. There you go. So I'd rather have someone like Baby at the top, rather than, these other people in D rank who look cool, and cooler than Baby, I'd say, but have no motivation. Ginyu's funny. Ginyu's actually a B for me. I find Ginyu hilarious, so I just think that's the reason I like Ginyu so much. His personality is very likable, which is very unique for a villain, and it's very funny to see his reactions to things. And his moveset is actually kind of interesting with the change ability and all that. I think his whole demeanor, everything he did was pretty good. Even in Resurrection F, the arc, I think he's still pretty good. He's pretty in character and everything too, so it's great. A means to an end character are definitely the Cell Juniors, definitely the lowest of C rank for now, because they don't have a personality. They don't have a drive. They are literally just the spawns of Cell to do his bidding. Bada bing, bada boom, that's all they do. So let's move on to Cell, who I'd say is a high B rank character, because I don't see his other forms. I'm going to scroll. Actually, I don't need to scroll down. I can see the rest of the list, and he doesn't have his other forms here. So these are all forms of Cell, as far as I'm concerned. And if we're talking about all forms of Cell, then yeah. Imperfect Cell was menacing. I think Semi-Perfect Cell missed the mark a bit. But Perfect Cell and Super Perfect Cell also had a bit of that menacing vibe, while also having some characteristics of Goku, Vegeta, Frieza, and really amplified, and really exemplified, I should say, all those characteristics to a higher degree than previous forms did. So I do think this is a very good spot for him to be at. I like the way he is. I like his motivations. He constantly talks about once he becomes perfect, I want the fight. I want the ultimate fight. I want to fight Son Goku. And I just think that's a very interesting character, as it reflects our main characters pretty well, which is what Cell does. And he does it pretty successfully in my eyes. Cooler is the reflection of the Frieza stuff. Obviously, this isn't Mecha Cooler, and I don't see Mecha Cooler on this list. I don't know if I'm supposed to include him here. I guess I am. In which case, he's probably going to be, I want to put him in D, and people are going to hate me if I put him in D. It's not low D, he'd be high D. Because I did like the first Cooler movie. It's just the subsequent Cooler movie that I don't really care for that much, as he just sort of becomes part of this extra thing that isn't really him. Yeah, moving on, Devorah, he's just a puppet. Better than Cooler? No. That's a good question. I don't think so. So I'm going to put him right below Cooler. I think he's still better than Android 19. I think that's a good spot for Devorah. Oh, this guy. I forgot his name. Demigra? Demigra is a weird case. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go ahead and say Demigra has an interesting motivation, but it's not very interesting to me, personally. I'm gonna just go with... Listen, I'm gonna go with F, and I'm gonna say this very clearly, because he's not that interesting. You know what we'll actually do? We'll do this live right now. We'll change F to just don't know that well. Or don't know well. Perfect. Alright, we'll do that. We'll do this live right now. Boom. Fix the issues here. Perfect. Don't know well will be down here, so we can move Android 21 down here too. Again, I think what I've heard of Android 21 sounds interesting, but I don't know her well enough to really discuss the topic. Dodoria. Yeah, I'm thinking Dodoria is a solid C tier, bottom of C tier. Maybe higher than a Cell Junior because he actually has a personality. There you go. That's about it. I don't think there's much to say about him. Dr. Zero is better than Cell Junior. He's better than him. He's worse than those two androids, so there you go. At least he has... Actually, you know what? No. Dr. Zero is better than the two androids. Better motives, clearer understanding of why he wants to do what he does, and actually, I'd even say he's better than Bodak. Yeah. I'd say Dr. Zero is high C. He has actual motivations. He has a reason for what he does. And if in the extended lore, where Android 16 turns out to be his son, who was killed, is a recreation of his son, who was killed in the Red Ribbon Army raid, well then, yeah, it all works out a bit better. Ice Shenron. Now, I always can't remember which one Ice and Nova are, because one is worse than the other. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put Ice and Nova in... don't know well, because I do know them well. I just can't remember which one is which. So I'm thinking, with the one that helps Goku, the minute he starts helping Goku, he's not a villain anymore anyway. And, yeah, I'm not sure. I think Ice was the good one, but I can't remember, man. Oh, we have Frieza. High A tier, definitely. Now people are going to wonder why Frieza's not an S tier. Easy. Resurrection of F and the rest of Super. If Frieza had stopped being in the show at the Frieza arc, Frieza would be an S tier. Frieza did not stop being in the show at the Frieza arc. Frieza is in the show in Resurrection of F as a villain, in the Tournament of Power, still an antagonist, and in Dragon Ball Super Broly as the fundamental cause of the main antagonist. Frieza has lost his charm to me. He's become just a repetitive, boring character who's mostly used for gags at this point more than anything. Or seemingly, because in Broly movie, his whole goal is a gag. So, A tier is what he gets. He's lucky he didn't get pushed down to B tier, to be honest. Garlic Jr. Because there's an arc about him as well, he gets pushed down to D tier, and honestly, I'm gonna say low D tier, because that arc is so bad. His movie is pretty good, but his arc is really bad. We have General Blue. There's a Colonel Blue. It's Blue. I just usually call him Blue. Blue has no heavy motivations or anything. He's just a solid C tier character. Is he more interesting than the androids? I think his moveset is more interesting than the androids, and actually does more as a villain than the androids. Obviously, future timeline androids are different than present timeline androids. I don't know if I'm supposed to be counting them in this, but I'm not. So, take that as you will. Don't know well enough. I think that's Hachiak, right? Hirudegarn, right? Hirudegarn has no motivations or anything either, as far as I know. I think Hirudegarn is just asking to be low D tier. I can't tell. Garlic Jr. has decent motivations, though. At least better than Broly and Android. Yeah, I put... That's fine. Hit. Hit's a good one. Hit's a good antagonist. Remember, Hit's only an antagonist in one arc and a filler arc. And both of those, he's good. I really enjoy him. So I'm going to say low A tier. Very good. Very much enjoy him. This is... I know who it is. I know he's the Fusion Reborn villain, but for some reason... Geneva, there we go. Geneva is the embodiment of all evil. He's the Boo ripoff, right? Remember how I said every arc in Dragon Ball Z is like turned into its own movie that's ripped off? Yeah, it's kind of lame. And because of that, I'm going to put him also at low D tier. I don't think he even talks in the movie at all. Jiren. Jiren could get B tier. High B tier? Yeah, high B tier, below Cell. Pretty simple. He has at least a character. He has a personality towards the second half of the Tournament of Power. It's not well established in the first half of the Tournament of Power. His ideals are fairly interesting, if not contradictory. So I think B is the right place to put him, because it's like a villain that tries to be, but just doesn't succeed. Kid Buu, a little bit too boring for me, but I kind of like the embodiment of evil that they're actually going for here, where it's like humanity's evil has actually just pushed Buu to this point that he actually just literally becomes the manifestation of it. That's pretty interesting. End of B. Yeah, pretty easily. King Cold. Above Cooler. There you go. King Piccolo. There we go. Now we're talking good villains. I'd say A. Below Hit, maybe. Not great goals, but pretty interesting. Once again, Slug is just a repeat villain, so I'll just put him at the end here. Honestly, you could switch up the order in D tier pretty easily here, and I wouldn't care too much. I think they just all belong at the lower end, because the issue with Slug is he's just Piccolo Daimao. That's really the big issue we have here. How long have we been going? 13 minutes. Not too bad. We're cutting through this. Good. Fat Buu. Now, Fat Buu is a really good character. I don't care what anyone says. He's the best version of Buu in terms of character. So I'm going to put Fat Buu above Piccolo Daimao in A. Fat Buu is a creature of learning. He sort of learns over time. Wait, why does this blind boy not fear me? Why does this dog not fear me? You know, why are they thanking me for things I'm doing? Why is this guy being nice to me? Why do they like me? Should I stop doing the destruction I'm doing? He's learning as he goes on, and I think that's very, very interesting. It's very nuanced, and I enjoy it a lot. It's a great arc to watch, and just overall, it's just wonderful. I hate the minute he turns into Super Buu, because he just becomes generic Dragon Ball villain number 6, unfortunately. So, yeah, just like I said, Buuhan. Yeah, Buuhan loses all the nuance of Kid Buu and Fat Buu. I'm not going to say he's D tier, but I'm going to say he's definitely low C tier. Majin Vegeta, which is interesting that they're splitting Vegeta into two, I think, right? Yeah, Vegeta's down here as well. Majin Vegeta, it has good motivations, I'd say, or decent motivations, at least they exist. Though I think him just having this quick heel turn out of nowhere just to get stronger, and then especially in the manga, it quickly subsides. The heel turn is not very long-lived, and then he sacrifices himself. So for the amount of time that he's actually evil, you know, he's not actually that interesting. The interesting part comes afterwards when you realize, wow, I was an idiot. So I don't think Majin Vegeta is the interesting part. I think the interesting part is the end of Majin Vegeta. The after part. So I would put him at, possibly above Kid Buu, but B tier. I don't think he's, like, as good as everybody thinks, but I think he's better than, say, Jiro and Leandro. Yeah, I think that's the right spot. Alright, Merge Zamasu, for some reason, why do some of these characters have all their forms into one, like Frieza, but Merge Zamasu all of a sudden becomes, like, 7 people? What the heck? And Buu is like 7 people. Buu makes sense at least because his personality changes. But like, this guy and this guy are pretty much the same. Merge Zamasu and, you know, destroying himself, Merge Zamasu. Hi A tier. B tier, I mean. Sorry. Hi B tier. He starts losing the nuance of Goku Black, and Goku Black is what carries that arc for me. For sure. So then we have this guy who I don't know too much about. Toga, is that his name? I don't know too much about him. I think he's more so prevalent in Xenoverse 2 than Xenoverse 1, and that's why I don't know as much about him. But even still, I put, you know, this guy down here at Demigra. Okay, Mobster Carrot, S tier. No, I'm kidding. Mobster Carrot's a solid D tier character. Yeah, I'll put him at the end of D tier just to not confuse people. Moro, we haven't seen his full arc of. As of right now, I'm putting him as a B tier character because I like it, but I'm starting to, like, think about it. And I'm like, okay, at least he has that hidden second wish. At least we have some mystery around him. Alright, he could have more nuance than I'm giving him credit for. So that's why he's up at B and not in C. Or else he actually would be in C because his arc is very similar to Piccolo Daimao and Frieza's, and I don't like repetition too much. Nappa, I mean, he killed all the Z fighters. His goals are pretty basic. He's just generic villain number 6. Again, D tier can just be any order you guys want. I'm not going to go and inter-rank D tier at this point. I started to, but honestly, there's so many of them. I thought this would be C and B heavy, but yeah, there's just so many, like, random villains here. Like, this guy. I don't even remember his name. From the Buu arc. You know, the one that Vegeta one-shots because he thinks 10 gravity's going to work. Raditz, same thing. He's not. No, Raditz is actually more nuanced than people give him credit for. I'm going to put him at the end of C. Raditz is more nuanced than people give him credit for because of one thing and one thing only. He didn't use all his power against Goku. He still didn't want to kill his brother in the end. He could have. He could have killed Goku at any point during that fight, and it's been stated in after the fact that the reason he didn't is because he didn't want to kill his brother in the end. He, like, basically chose not to kill his brother. He would have rather, you know, convinced him somehow by, like, you know, just literally taking him away to be with them rather than killing him in that instance. So, Raditz is a bit more nuanced than people give him credit for. He's a bit short-lived, though, so he has to stay in C tier, I'd say. Honestly, I'd say above... Which characters aren't nuanced here? Because I'm inter-ranking the rest of the ranks. Yeah, right about there is where I'd put him. His moveset isn't that interesting. He's only on the screen for a short amount of time. And despite him giving a challenge, it's not too crazy. Alright. Omega Shenron. Or Sin Shenron? I always forget. Because I have to watch GT in subs again. I have watched it. I just didn't think it was that great. Overall, the Shadow Dragons are interesting, which is weird that they only put one Shadow Dragon here. The Shadow Dragons are an interesting concept. I just think they're not that greatly executed. They're a bit too comedic and a bit too weak. They come across as sort of just generic punching bags that you just sort of get through until you get to, like, Nova, Ice, and Sin. So, with that being said, I'm going to put him in B tier above Kid Buu. I think that's the best spot for him. You know what? We'll put him above here. Right there. That's fine. Right below Jiren, a similar concept as Jiren, right? He has the idea of a greater understanding, moral ambiguity thing, but he, he doesn't execute on it well, at least in my opinion. Papari? Is that what his name is? This dancing guy who's stated to be as strong as Boo. That's the only reason I know about him. I know he's in GT. I know I've watched GT. I know I've watched GT multiple times. I never remember this guy. I always forget about him unless I'm talking about GT Goku scaling. And because of that, I'm just going to put him straight in D tier. Back! Okay, sorry about that. Phone was buzzing. I didn't want that to be in the background of the video for you guys. Alright, so we have Super Saiyan Rose, Goku Black. That's the nuanced character, and overall, through and through, as a character, Goku Black is by far the best one. He's not only Zamasu with the god complex and the evil scheming, he's also Saiyan in biology, and it starts showing. He loves the fight. He loves the hunt. He stops becoming the guy who wants to kill the mortals and starts becoming the Saiyan who wants to become stronger. It's consuming him. You can tell there are differences between Zamasu and Goku Black. Despite what people tell you, there are clear distinctions between Zamasu and Goku Black in terms of their motivations, their ideologies, and how they want to pursue their goals. And that distinction is made no clearer than the point when Goku Black says, I don't want to become immortal. If Goku Black really wanted to achieve his goals, the best thing for him to do was to make himself immortal. But he says, I don't want to be immortal. Being immortal ruins him. So he stays mortal. This Goku Black is extremely interesting, and that's why I hate when he merges and they just sort of become Zamasu but stronger. It loses the nuance of Goku Black. And since we're talking about Zamasu is high A tier. Again, it's the same as Goku Black, just without the nuance. So, right there for Zamasu is perfect. Cyberman. Oh, great. Definitive low D tier, by the way. Definitive bottom D tier. Who the hell is this guy? Don't remember him. He's from the Cooler movie, I know that. But, jeez, just get out of here. Spopovich actually, unironically, is a cool villain in concept because he actually has good motivations. I'm going to put him at the bottom of C tier. His motivations are to get revenge for what happened to him in that one tournament where Mr. Satan embarrassed him, and he does get that revenge. And he does it at any cost, and then he dies. And I think, his little arc is complete. Oh, geez, the worst villain of GT. There we go. Super Boo. Yeah, worse than Buhan. Worse than Spopovich, for sure. Another lady here. That lady here. Turles. Turles is an interesting case. Does Turles have any great motivations? I mean, he wants to make that tree, but did he have great motivation? I'm going to put him in Don't Know Well, because I can't remember his movie right now. Now, maybe that's a case to put him in D tier. I can remember most of the other movies pretty well. I'm going to put him in Don't Know Well, just to be safe, because he could have great motivations, and I could just be stupid. Oh, it's this guy. Great. D tier. Vegeta. S tier villain again. Thank God we're back to S tier villains. And since they made Majin Vegeta separate from regular Vegeta, yeah, I'm very confident in putting Vegeta in S tier villain. He's great. He's great until he's great even in the Frieza arc, where he's still an antagonist. He's still not completely on the side of our heroes. He's amazing. I love it. Every second he's on screen, he screams charisma and power. And by the way, if Frieza didn't have ROF and the Tournament Power, Frieza would be right here, if not here. But since Frieza has ROF, the Tournament Power, and the Broly movie, Frieza goes to the high A tier. And even then, I feel like that's a stretch. I feel like it's a stretch to have Frieza that high. Zarbon, pretty basic. I'm going to put right next to Devorah. And that's going to be our list. And the Cell Jr. right at the back here. Cell Jr. should be at the back of C. Everything all in all, though, I'm pretty happy with this list. I don't think this is too controversial. I think everything from S to, like, C is not very controversial. I think some people are going to have controversies with who I put in D, because it's my lowest rank. But remember, I did have an F rank, and not many of these would go into F. Now, I also just realized I put Cell Juniors in C, when I meant to put them in D. Why are Cell Juniors in C? Alright, I'm changing this at the end, just so you guys know. Cell Juniors definitely in D. I don't know why I put them in C. I apologize. Yeah, Cell Juniors are definitely D tier. He was probably early on, that's why. Yeah, D tier for Cell Juniors. 100%. Yeah, not one tier below Perfect Cell himself. Yeah, 100%. I'm happy with this list, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure to hit the like button, leave your opinions and counterpoints in the comments down below, and hit subscribe and the notification bell. That way you get to stay up to date on the channel and everything that goes on with it. If you're interested, please check out the merch store to support the channel in another way that gives you something in return. But till next time, peace!